Welcome back. Hey, hey, to the pajama party. Woo! Yeah, yeah. Mm, mm. Welcome back to the pajama party. To the pajama party. Woo! Welcome back. One more time. Welcome back. Yeah, yeah. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to a place to be, the pajama party. Whoop whoop. Now, I'm gonna have to put this disclaimer in here before we go any further. First of all, I hope you're doing well. How are you tonight? Tonight, because right now it's nighttime when I'm gonna upload it and saying it. But it could be day when you're responding to how are you? How's your week going so far? What's happening in the land of the living? All right, friends, and whoever else is watching, I'm gonna put it like this. It is Shark Week, okay? All my females know what I mean when I say Shark Week. At least that's what I call my time of the month. Shark Week smacked me in the face when I woke up this morning, and it's just kind of been rough, okay? So I know the vibes is a little different. I don't have as much light on me. It's kind of tinted, which I like this vibe, don't get me wrong, but I can't handle the ring light, okay? And I'm like I say, I am very but I did not want to neglect this, nor did I want to put it off, because I really was excited to do the podcast earlier today. It's just that, man, as the time has went on, but after this, I get to go to sleep, and lay down on a heating pad and be a bucket of nothing. So we are here. But I hope you've been well, friends. I hope that everything has went your way, that the Lord has opened doors for you, or at least told you why he didn't open certain doors, and hopefully you guys are just rocking it out and vibing out well. The temperature is steadily falling. We're rolling around into another week of October. So yes, yes, welcome back. So please bow your heads, close your eyes, open your hearts. Okay, yes, I'll do this first, Lord. So, Father, right now, thank you for giving me another opportunity to come and speak to your children again, Lord. Thank you for giving me the strength, okay, to do this, because, Father, today has been a rough, rough day. But thank you so much for being with me, Lord, and for allowing me to get through this day and everything that I've accomplished today. And right now, Lord, I ask that you would fall afresh on me, Lord, that you would anoint my mouth and my hands, that you would give me what to say to your children. Speak through me, Lord. Please use me as you see fit, and please really help me to reach your children, Lord, and get your point across. And when I am fearful and afraid, Lord, and when I want to overthink things, I ask that you would just help me to reel it in, Lord, and to be calmed. And Father, right now, I ask that you would be with all those in Israel who are going through the war, Father, and not just Israel, but Ukraine, Lord, and all of the places around the world where we don't even know what's happening in the wicked acts that are being committed. I just ask that your hand of mercy be upon your children, Lord. I know conflicts will arise, Father, but I know who can stop the conflicts. And so I just ask, Lord, that you would bring peace, Lord, and understanding and resolution. And to all those who are under the sound of my voice, watching this or listening to this whenever they may, I ask that you would bless them, that you would bless their homes, Lord, their livelihoods, everything about them. Lord, I ask for healing upon them, for peace, and for your love to continue to surround them and wrap them up in a bundle of goodness. And Lord, all these things that I thought to ask for but didn't ask, you granted in your grace. In Jesus' name I do ask and pray. Thank God, amen. All right, friends. So before I get started, there was this song, there is this song that I wrote, and I I sang it. It is actually up on my TikTok. I don't remember which video it is. And I probably will post it here, but I wanted to do it a cappella and sing the lyrics to you because I don't know, I just feel like maybe somebody needed to hear this. It is called I Remembered You. A little bit of backstory behind this was I should I even be doing this now, or should I wait to do this? Okay, I'll do it now before we go into it. But a little bit of backstory, quick backstory for you was I wrote this song when it was a close to a year anniversary for me, and I was really, so y'all, I lied. It is gonna make more sense to put it in before my section. So we're going to come back to this. It's called I Remember You. Yes, we're going to come back to this, but first I want to get into the Bible and talk about these stories, but I promise we're going to come back to it. So the first thing we're going to go through is, okay, confession time. I have been reading, I'm in Ezekiel now. I've been reading Ezekiel, trying to see what the heck was happening with this guy, because it's a story that I've never read before. So I wanted to get it together and figure out, like, what is Ezekiel all about? Let me just say, Ezekiel is another chapter that is rough, or another story in the Bible that is rough. So Ezekiel is this prophet, right? And he has been led into captivity. Well, not just him, but they were led into captivity into Babylon under the reign of Nebuchadnezzar. Now, while this is happening, the Lord is showing Ezekiel visions and like telling him what to say to the oh so rebellious children of Israel. And I, I was like, dang, man, because a lot of stuff in Ezekiel was just rough. And like I said, I think I was a little flabbergasted because I've never read this one. So reading it, I was just like, dang. But I will say, there is one specific chapter that I wanted to read to you because I I just feel like a lot of things in here, I don't know. Let me see how I can explain this. To me, when there's certain things in the Bible, I kind of feel like it is mirrored into my life or into the world around me, And it's like it may be a different situation, but to me, it is set up the same. So tonight's discussion revolves around fatal attractions. Well, it's a love affair. The discussion for tonight is called a love affair. Now, this first section is fatal attractions, or what? No. This first section is called sacred love affairs. But I was reading this in a New King James version the night before last. And it was just some things that like God had said to Ezekiel that I was just like, dang, like my heart felt a type of way. And once again, I think it'll make more sense like once I tie my story into it. But for me, I was just like, dang, this is kind of like an eye opener. And like for me, I was very grateful that like God came in the meat body and died for us because if I was these two sisters, or if I would have been like treated the way they were, ooh, just it would have been rough. So the Lord is giving Ezekiel visions, and if I'm not mistaken, Ezekiel was mute, but he was supposed to do all these things and perform in ways which the Lord had instructed him to. And by the end of it, when he was supposed to prophesy and speak to the children, they would know that the Lord sent him. And so Ezekiel was talking about all this destruction that was gonna fall on Jerusalem because, well, they were not listening to God. And so this specific chapter that I'm gonna read you is 23. And I'm gonna break it down to you from what I gathered, but I'm only I'm gonna I'm gonna read until I feel like I've gotten my point across. So just jump on in and follow with me. It says, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity. And the names of them were Aholah the elder, and Aholibah her sister. Now, in the New King James Version, their names are switched up a little bit, which is why I say, like, it is good for you to read the King James. Every version is acceptable, but translations just differ. So even though the New King James Version may say one, in here it's Aholah and Aholibah. I guess, yeah, her sister. And they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names: Samaria is Abola, and Jerusalem Aholibah. And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians her neighbors, which were clothed with blue captains and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredoms with them, with all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all on whom she doted, with all their idols she defiled herself. Neither left she her whoredoms brought from Egypt, for in her youth they lay with her, and they bruised the breast of her virginity, and poured their whoredom upon her. Wherefore I have delivered her into the hands of her lovers, into the hand of the Assyrians. I am so sorry. Assyrians upon whom she doted. I promise I'm laughing at myself because I cannot believe I am sitting up here really pronouncing stuff the way I am. Who use me, Lord? These discovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters and slew her with the sword, and she became famous among women, for they had executed judgment upon her. And when her sister Aholibah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in her whoredoms. She doted upon the Assyrians with her neighbors, captains and rulers, clothed most gorgeously horsemen. Most gorgeously. Horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. Then I saw that she was defiled, that they took but one way, and all that she increased her whoredoms, for when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the images of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion, girded with girdles upon their loins, exceeding in dyed attire upon their heads, all of them princes to look to, after the matter of the Babylonians of Chaldea, the land of their nativity. And as soon as she saw them with her eyes, she doted upon them, and sent messengers unto them into Chaldea. And the Babylonians came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with the whoredom, and she was polluted with them, and her mind was alienated from them. So she discovered her whoredoms and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister. Yet she multiplied her whoredoms, and calling to remembrance the days of her youth, wherein she had played the harlot in the land of Egypt. For she doted upon their paramours, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Thus thou callest to remembrance the lewdness of thy youth, and the bruising thy teats by the Egyptians for the paps of thy youth. Therefore, O Aholibah, thus said the Lord God, behold, I will raise up the lovers against thee, from whom thy mind is alienated, and I will bring them against thee on every side. The Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, Pekod and Shoa, and Koa, and all the Assyrians with them, all of them desirable young men, captains and rulers, great lords and renowned, all of them riding upon horses. And they shall come against thee with chariots, wagons, and wheels, and with an assembly of people, which shall set against thee buckler and shield and helmet round about. And I will set judgment before them, and they shall judge thee according to their judgments. And I will set my jealousy against thee, and they shall deal fiercely with thee. They shall take thee away. Oh, wait a minute. They shall take away thy nose and thine ears, and thy remnant shall fall by the sword. They shall take thy sons and thy daughters, and thy residue shall be devoured by the fire. They shall also strip thee out of thy clothes and take away thy fair jewels. Thus will I make thy lewdness to cease from thee, and thy whoredom brought from the land of Egypt, so that thou shalt not lift up thine eyes unto them, nor remember Egypt any more. For thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will deliver thee into the hand of them whom thou hatest, into the hand of them from whom thy mind is alienated. And they shall deal with thee hatefully, and shall take away all thy labor, and shall leave thee naked and bare. And the nakedness of thy whoredoms shall be discovered, both thy lewdness and thy whoredoms. I will do these things unto thee, because thou hast gone a whoring after the heathen, and because thou art polluted with their idols. Thou hast walked in the way of thy sister, therefore will I give her cup into thine hand. Thus said the Lord God, thou shalt drink of thy sister's cup deep and large. Thou shalt be laughed to scorn and had in derision. It containeth much. Listen, thou shalt be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, with the cup of astonishment and desolation, with the cup of thy sister Samaria. Okay, so this takes me out because so when you read the Bible, I sometimes it seems very like literal, but of course he's not actually talking about like well, two women, but they were lands, okay? The lands, Samaria and Judah. And the people of these lands, they were the ones looking at the foreigners like, come on over to this side. And they weren't supposed to be calling anybody over. They were supposed to be getting it together. And instead of putting the Lord first and getting it together, they turned the opposite way. And the Lord was like, I am sick of this mess. But when I read this, to me, it still seems like a love story, you know? And whenever the Lord is like, they were mine, it just kind of fills my heart with like this, ooh, you know, like he is very, the Lord, yes, he is a jealous God. And I guess because I've never really just read through stuff like this before, and I'll get there too, but to see the Lord be like, you were mine, they were mine, and yet like he watched the lands, he watched these women that were given to him do whatever they wanted to do, like throw parties out here, you know, like they were in a bond, a covenant, a marriage, you can say. And like the Lord is watching them, you know, they are looking and lusting after these people because of how they look, you know, it is the lust of the eyes because they were adorned and decorated with so much beauty and fashion, but hidden underneath all of that was wickedness, perversions, and lust. And when they got what they wanted, they basically turned on them and ruined them. And it's just like, oh, I am so glad that judgment doesn't fall on my head like this, because dang, man. And I still do believe like sometimes we can provoke the Lord to jealousy and to anger. That's why you need to be very well, not to anger. I don't think the Lord gets angry at us. I really don't, because I feel like if he died for us, you know, and I was telling somebody this, if he died for us and he was just going to get angry at us, or if he died for us and he was just going to be disappointed at us, like, it doesn't make sense. He wouldn't have died, you know, for us. He wouldn't have gave himself for us. But I do believe that he is jealous. And I hands down, he is a jealous man. And I like, okay, so I'll staple that into the next section, because yeah, the Lord reveals to me sometimes Shay be walking on some fire, okay? And if it was back in the day when if I was with the children of Israel, it would have been rough on me. But thank God for his grace and mercy, okay? And his faithfulness to me to have a new covenant. Because, baby, let me tell you, okay, so the second story that we're going to dive into, I know I've read it on here before. I want to read it again. It is about my favorite, King David. We all know I sit for that man, okay? David, yes. I will be looking for him in heaven, okay? I know we're gonna be brother and sister, but I just want to get a hug. This is gonna be after I love on the Lord. But you know what I'm saying? I'm be like, what up one time for the one time, David? Okay, so 2 Samuel 11. This is another, lengthy one. So put your listening ears on, okay? And it came to pass after the year was expired, at the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him, all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried at Jerusalem, still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in the evening too that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after that woman, and one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness. Yes, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned into her house. And the woman conceived and sent and told David, and said, I am with child. And David said to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was coming to him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down into his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down into thine house? And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my house to eat and drink, and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and as thou soul livest, I will not do this thing. And David said unto Uriah, Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, Set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. And it came to pass, when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah into a place where he knew the violent men were. Violent. They were violent, okay? Violent, but valiant. men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people of the servants of David. And Uriah the Hittite died also. Then Joab sent and told David of all things concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, when thou hast made an end of telling the matters of the war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, and he say unto thee, wherefore approached ye so nigh unto the city when ye did fight? Knew ye not that they would shoot from the wall? Who smote Abimelech and the son of Jerubbaal? Jerubbaal. Did not a woman cast a piece of a millstone upon him from the wall, that he died in Tebez? Why went ye nigh the wall? Then say thou, thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So the messenger went and came and shewed David all that Joab had sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, surely the men prevailed against us and came out unto us into the field, and we were upon them even unto the entering of the gate. And the shooters shot from off the wall upon thy servants, and some of the king's servants be dead. And thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David said unto the messenger, thus shalt thou say unto Joab, let not this thing displease thee, for the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage thou him. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. Okay, so even though I love David, right? This was not his proudest moment. And even I have to admit that for a while I was very disappointed reading this story, because I'm like, David, like the Lord, to me, the Lord did so much for David, and he increased his territory so much, and you literally could have had anything you wanted. And this is what you chose to do, David. Oh my goodness. And so basically, David sees this beautiful lady, right? And he's like, I gotta see her, travel all across the world just to meet her. You know what I'm saying? David was here for the action. And so, excuse me, they had a rendezvous. Let's just put it like that. Rendezvous. Hey, anywho's, they had a rendezvous. And David decides after this rendezvous that because she is with a child, he's going to kill Uriah. Now, I don't even understand why he would have killed Uriah, but I guess so like Uriah didn't know what had commenced between him and Bathsheba. But the Lord was not happy, okay? And to go further into that story, the child, I think it was a son that was born to David, he died. David didn't get to keep the child. The Lord, he prayed to the Lord, he fasted, but the Lord was like, no, okay? And so David lost the child. He didn't have it. And basically, David got up, he washed himself off, because he felt like if the Lord didn't allow it to happen, then it wasn't meant for him to, receive this. But he ended up marrying her anyways. And once again, it is just mind blowing to me. And the reason why I wanted to jump back to this story is because reading it again and just really thinking about what happened, it reminds me of like one of those stories from Fatal Attraction. I've been watching a bunch of like crime stuff here lately, so like Fatal Attractions and like Deadly Wives and I Almost Got Away with It, and Who the Bleep Did I Marry, stuff like that. And this story to me just shows the dangers. Both stories, honestly, to me, shows the dangers of lusting after someone or something. And instead of putting the Lord first and be like, you know what, this is slaying me, these people went and took what they wanted. And like, to me, it's one of those cases where the ending result was not worth the temporary feeling of pleasure that they got, you know? And so I wanted to bring David's story back up because once again, I'm going to tie it all into mine. But David, he was a man after the Lord's own heart, and he loved God, and he lamented, and he knew he had did wrong and messed up. He repented and apologized for his ways, and the Lord still blessed him and still flourished him and still kept him. Like, the Lord didn't turn around and be like, "You peasant, you filthy little thing, like, I am done with you." Judah and Samaria, on the other hand, I mean, they kept getting chances and chances and chances, and they were just sitting out here blowing carrots to the wind like it was just a party. So, tying this in to me. So, like I said, I want to call this section Fatal Attraction. So, one thing, to put my story back out here, because it is kind of something I talk about a lot, but it has been weighing on me to bring this up again. So I really don't know who this is for. I don't know if this is simply just a reminder for me or what. But with this message, I know it is my hope to reach men and women, but I really feel like I'm talking to a woman or a girl when I say this. And so I really just want you to look at my testimony, and we are not the same, and I don't hopefully you won't ever encounter this, but if it's something that's on me, I just want to speak about it, and just hopefully give you a precautionary tale, or to warn you, like, don't do it, but to also encourage you that things get better. So I have made mention before, and I've talked about it a lot, and this is part of the a lot, but one addiction I had to face and let go was my addiction to porn. I feel like that was really the biggest thing that hindered me in life, and I'm talking about, this wasn't just like a 1 or 2 years thing. I've been dealing with this addiction since I was like preteens, early. Like, I was heathing out early ways, and I honestly, I found out how to search up and look up things I shouldn't have found that out, but it's one of those things where I can't really blame anybody, because when I became conscious and old enough to know what to do and what not to do, that was one of the things that was just like a no-no. And really, I think, like, for 1 year, or maybe not even a full year, I think it was like I went 6 months or something like that without like watching anything and like self pleasure and all that jazz. But when I got into college, man, it was just like like a spiral. And I crack jokes about it, and this is gonna sound so bad what I'm about to say, but I used to stay up, and I'm talking about I'd be up for like hours, like, if I didn't meet round six, it was not a good night. I mean, by the time, and I I feel so embarrassed, but truly, it was bad. It was to the point of like, I spent myself so much that I would just completely pass out. And I, at the time, I did not realize that there was a disconnect between me and God. Um I mean, I knew what I was doing was wrong. And like I say, I would have these thoughts where I would be like, man, what would you do if the Lord came back right now and just saw you there? But then it started to get to where I did not fear that anymore. I was just like, dang, man, hopefully he'll forgive me. And that's sad. That is very sad to, even think like that or be there. But I was there, and be a heathen, have my little heathen moment, and then I would just cry myself to sleep. It got to the point where I didn't even enjoy it anymore, or even, like I say, if I enjoyed it for however long, and quite frankly, a lot of the times it would be, and I'm not even lying to you, it would be like a minute or two worth of bliss, and then I would just cry. I would just cry myself to sleep. I would, feel so unwanted and so disgusting. I would feel even more lonely because I'm like, these people are like, they don't even have nothing to do with me, and like the people I'm conjuring up in my mind, they don't even know me, and then it went to like anime characters and stuff like that, and just a spiral. I would create people in my head. It was just a sinking slope, and so I really had to sit and think about why I was so addicted to porn. I didn't know where it was stemming from and what had did it to me or what I went through, but I had to realize, first of all, it was I have had a problem of where, excuse me, if I look at somebody and they look attractive, I'm like, dang man, like I want your babies, And my mom had to be like, stop being like that, like you need to get it together because we are not looking for that. She was right. She was absolutely right, and I had to start asking myself, like, what really is love? Like what really is lust? And breaking down and backtracking, because I didn't want to be stuck here for the rest of my life. I don't want to have kids and have my baby girl, or baby boy dealing with the same sins and burdens that I've had to deal with. And I do believe that if you leave some stuff unresolved, it can fall on your children to deal with. And we just all have things in our DNA that make up of our kids and make up of us. So I want to do the best thing that I can to not put my children in harm's way like that, and even just for me, I didn't want to be so caught up in that lifestyle that, like, I couldn't even enjoy it when it is time for me to be married and, like, do the wang dang doodle. And so, like I said, I was reading Ezekiel and my heart was kind of just like clutching. And I believe it is because the Lord has been telling me for like a month or so, you are mine. It is, how you get those kind of like just clear and definite like voices, and the Lord has just been telling me, like, you are mine. You are mine. You are my, yes, you are my daughter, but you are my lover too. Like, I am your man. I can, like, what is this that you're looking for or looking at? Because I can give you so much more. Everything comes from me. So, what do you think you're gonna find out here in the world? And it was a serious question I had to ask myself, and the more I started looking at it and like looking at God and who he was, the more I found myself like falling in love with him. And like I say, I joke about it, but one thing I noticed is that I am the type of person, I'm gonna be honest, I like riling people up sometimes if I'm involved with them. And that sounds so bad, but I am very much a brat like that, and the Lord revealed to me that sometimes, I can try it with him. I don't always cross a line, but I get very close to teeter tottering. And it's like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, like I am very close to the borderline. And I've had to like tell myself, you don't want to play these games with this man, and as exciting as stuff like that could be, not with him. Like, I don't want the smoke. And like I say, I don't want no destruction to fall up on me, and he has warned me, like, this is all gonna catch up with you in ways that you ain't gonna like. But, and I mean, not even like that, but that's a personal conversation that he's had with me. Like, you okay? You think you're getting away with some stuff? But point is, the Lord has had to deal with me about what I see with my eyes, because I am very quick to be attracted to something. And I was telling my best friend about this, like, a lot of people that I've seen and just been like, oh, I want it. After a couple of years have passed, I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't get it, Lord. I'm glad I couldn't have had it. I'm glad that you kept me from it. Like, I'm glad that you did not allow it to come upon me, And one thing I struggle with is really, okay, so I did not realize that lust was like such a, I guess big sin, no, big sin in the sense of like a lot of people seem to be dealing with it, you know? Because truly in the world, all that people really talk about is like war and like killings and death and stuff like that. But to have lust be such a thing that it seems like generation for generation for generation that we've been fighting for, I really wanted to get it together and be like, wind this up now. And so my addiction, it came from me hiding a lot of hurt. I was hurt and I was angry about a lot of things. And funnily enough, even the people that I saw and I would lust after, I didn't even believe I was good enough to be with them anyway. So it was really more or less of like, I just kept torturing myself and torturing myself. And, it even got to the point where I was telling my friend, I can't even, it is hard for me to believe that anybody is attracted to me. And like, I know when the time is right and my person comes, like the Lord is gonna align it and everything. But I've been through so much, like, positivity and body positivity and dealing with, my ideas of love and lust in the world, that I feel like there has been some disconnect and some brokenness there. And I really hope I'm making sense to whoever it is I'm supposed to be talking to. These are kind of just my feelings poured out. And I wanted to talk about it because lust can be fatal. Being attracted to a person, and even when you think you want them so bad, like, I urge you to just be cautious of what you're doing and like what decision you're making. And I do know one of the main reasons, well, I did promise the Lord that like I would be married before I did the wang dang diddly do. There would be things that, like for instance, I didn't know like self pleasure was like a form of like, you know foreplay and all that stuff. Like, I did not know, I guess, that those releases still counted to like the act of sex. I'm trying to tailor my words very carefully because I want to pick and choose what I say and be, modest about it. But I realize now that I had to abstain from all of that. And it has not been easy, especially when time rolls around, like my period time, because I feel like I am about to climb up a wall. And sometimes it is so bad that I want to cry because I get so frustrated. And I'm like, Lord, this better be for something. Like, do you see me out here being good for you? Do you see me out here thriving and surviving? And in December, it will be a year since I've done any of that, like looked at anything. And it feels good to like not be so bound by that. And I ain't gonna lie to you, sometimes my mind do race, and I'll be quick to be like, Lord, I'm so sorry that you are seeing me see this right now. And I don't even know, but like, so a lot of sleep paralysis that I used to have, because yes, I suffered from sleep paralysis. And I told my mom, I was watching this YouTuber and he was like, y'all really get sleep paralysis? And I was like, I thought this was a everybody thing. I did not know that only certain people suffer from it. But a lot of them that I used to get, I would be felt upon and be touched, and a lot of times I would be pinned down and be, unable to move, but it felt so good. I would question, like, did I want to get up or not? But I had to realize, like, that wasn't from God, like, and I started realizing what kind of attack that was. And it was so funny because my sleep paralysis went from being like scary, like trying to kill me, like, no, literally, like one sleep paralysis episode I had, there was a hand that shot up and was like choking me out. And I've had some rough nights. But point is, it switched from that to lust. And I guess because that's what I fought, for so long. And I remember one night I had a dream about a month or so ago. And anyways, I ended up getting involved with this guy who we were like, it's weird to explain. So we were supposed to be like writing or role playing out this scene, right? And like, I guess you could say we were on the level of like sexting each other. And this particular dude in my dream, he was white and he had brown hair, I believe. But I saw him also like in the form of this wolf that was black with gold around him. And my mom was like, anytime you see black, that's the devil. And I was telling her it is just so strange because every time this dream, okay, I'm gonna just tell you how the devil works. Cause like in this dream, this dude was literally doing everything that I would want my husband to do. I'm gonna just put it like that. One thing was he was growling. I hate like my vulnerability sometimes and my willingness to be so open, but I hope that this is helping you, whoever this is for. But in this dream, this dude was growling at me, and I ain't gonna lie. You know, you wanna, you know what I'm saying? You wanna, go ahead, give it to me. Like I like that. You know, give it to me. Then he was, and it was working me up. I'm not gonna lie, it was setting me on a frenzy in my dream, and I think it was even worse because in the dream, the dude was married to somebody, and she wanted to come in, and he was like, "No, she's mine," and that was our. And I think that's why the Lord is like, actually, no, she's mine. You're mine. Like, sit here and be still, but back to the dream, before like we got to the big wang diddly do, I kept waking up. I would always wake up before like the action started. And I kid you not, I went through a loop of this dream at least 3 times. And so about the third time, I knew what was happening. I was like, nope, it's time to get up, get the day started. Okay, we cannot afford to lay here for another minute because obviously I am not supposed to search this dream out. You know, because you know sometimes how you want to go back to sleep and finish the dream and see where it goes. This was not one of those dreams. And by the third time, I was like, this is not, obviously something else is happening here. And I kind of knew what was going on, but it was when my mom confirmed it that I was just like, excuse my French, damn. Like he really tried to get a player, okay? And was successfully about to get me too. I ain't gonna even hold you. But seriously, I want you to know, like, it is not easy stopping any kind of addiction that you have. And for me, my addiction was that. You know, I was hurting about a lot. I was upset about a lot. And honestly, I did not know how to go to God and talk to him about my failed, because to me they're failed logics and thoughts about like love and relationships, because I've been taught so wrong, you know. And my mom and my dad, they make me believe in love. So that's not what I'm saying, but I guess I mean among my peers and how I was raised up and what I've seen like in school and on TV, it was just taught to me so wrong. So when I started to form my own notions and ideas, to me, like, having sex was a sign of love, but it's not. If you're married, okay, that's different, but you should be marrying me because you love me, not because you want to sleep with me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna fall apart anyway, and you're gonna realize it's not love. And so I don't want to like worry anybody or like scare anybody, but just please be also careful who you give like your heart and your attention to, and your jewels and your treasures, because you can get addicted to somebody, okay? And like, and I think that that's one of the things that has scared me straight too. A lot of people in my life have told me situations of them getting attached to people, and not only them getting attached to people, but they're like, you know, it doesn't last as long as they would like you to think. You know, I've heard stories about 5 minute wonders or about 3 minute wonders. And it goes back to the story of David for me, because it's like, if you are going to, you know, risk so much and you only get 3 minutes, how about I say 3 seconds, but 3 minutes out of it, is it truly worth like all the anguish and the anger and the sadness that you're gonna feel after it? And to whoever's like, oh, but we do it 3 hours, even if you do it 3 hours, is it worth all the crying that you may feel afterwards? Is it worth the emptiness and the longing that you're gonna feel afterwards? Like, is it worth all that emotional damage? You know, I don't feel like it is, because you don't feel good about yourself. And I truly believe when you love the Lord, and when he loves you, and when he has chosen you and marked you, you're gonna feel convicted each and every time. Each and every time you try something, you're gonna know instinctively, like, damn, I shouldn't have did that today. You know, like, I should have just walked away. And so I really just urge you guys to be careful and think about what it is before you do it. Now, this is not me condemning anybody who does, like, you know, rendezvous or whatever. It's your life, it is your business, and I am not here to judge anybody because we all have sins, and we all deal with our daily struggles each and every day. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying just make sure whenever you're choosing what you want to do, that it is something that's going to benefit you and not cause a strain on your relationship with the Lord, because he is a jealous God. And you saw what he told Judah. He was like, since you want to play the harlot like your sister, you going to drink from her cup. And that always sends me into the moon, because the fact that he was like, all right, you want to play these stupid games. He didn't say it like that, but you play these stupid games, you get stupid results. And it's just like I say, seeing him put his foot down, seeing the Lord put his foot down, I'm like, you dang, like, to me, that's a form of him growling, like, ah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is attractive to me when a person puts their foot down and they means what they say, and they say what they mean, and that's one thing about the Lord. He means everything he says. And so, on that standpoint, I truly believe him when he said, like, I got everything you looking for. You want somebody to put their foot down? I'm right here for you, baby girl. Read my word. See how dominant I was when I put it down. Please do not take that out of context, but just to break the ice, because I know some of this can be heavy and it is quite hard to sometimes hear things like this, especially when you may feel like you're struggling or trying to fit the pieces together and really truly figure out your life and like what's hurting you and what's hindering you. Just please be encouraged. Like, the Lord doesn't look at you and see this filthy mess of a person. He sees his son, he sees his daughter, and to whoever I am talking to, I think of the Lord, like I say, as my lover. And when he tells me that I'm his, it to me it makes me feel so much more valuable, because once again, he's a king. Like, I'm married to a freaking king. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing in this world I can want for, and outside of that, when these fleshly emotions try to rise up out of us, I do feel like it's the enemy trying to distract us. And too, I know, like, we're gonna get urges and stuff because we are human. We are made of flesh. Like, we are gonna have those moments. And like I say, for me, sadly enough, it seems like my heathen moments want to try to come out when it is time for Shark Week. And so I know it's just the hormones and everything, but I promise, if you hold out and you are faithful to the Lord, he will bless and reward you. I let everything go a year ago. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I have went back and read some things, and I was just like, I shouldn't have even picked up the phone. But like, writing smut, I stopped that. I stopped like I said, watching porn and being addicted to all that. I stopped the self-heathen moments. I really just tried to focus on the Lord and our relationship and being with him and loving on him and letting him love on me. And like I say, whenever I have questions or concerns, now I have learned it is better to just ask him in a jumble of a mess when you don't even explain, when you don't even know what you're trying to explain. It's so much better than to just sit there in your confusion, because what you do is you get pent up, and before you know it, you're putting walls back on walls, and like, you're separating yourself from God. And he had to remind me, like, you will give me half of your heart, but you're not giving me your whole heart. And I'd be like, yeah, I am, Lord. Like, I'm right here. And he's like, no, because you don't give me your concerns with this or with that. And like, even if you don't understand, you don't ask me about it. And I had to realize, on one hand, I was afraid of the answer that would be given back to me. And I was afraid that the Lord would judge me. And it sounds dumb, I know, but I have always been afraid to be judged by the Lord and be judged as something unworthy or unwanted, because I have always desired to be like David and be a woman after the Lord's heart, and I just never wanted the Lord to see me in this bad light. But realizing who God is and realizing, like, once Jesus went to the cross, that eradicated everything that I have done, that I will do. And the same goes for you. He does not see you as this filth mop bucket that has collected all this dirt. Like, you are his daughter. You are loved. You are chosen. Like, you are his. You belong to him. And he's going to take care of you on every front. And when it is time for you to like multiply and divide and spread and all that jazz, it will be your time. But until then, don't even rush that. You know, like, life is filled up of so much more. There is so much beauty in the world, you know, and like, it can be easy to think in that moment it is something you want, but really just think about it, you know, really think about it. Go splash some water on your face when you're making these decisions. And I have learned too, whenever I have like sipped on a bottle of Moscato, you know, or something like that, my feelings can be amplified. A bottle of Moscato, a glass, not a whole bottle. First of all, don't be out here sipping on a full bottle of Moscato unless you can handle it. But when I was out here, like when I do have a drink of this and that, um, hang on. I cannot wait for the cold because these mosquitoes gotta go, okay? But anywho's, like I was saying, um, sometimes what I'm trying to say is sometimes when you're under the influence, your feelings can be amplified. But I read in Proverbs like wine can make a mockery out of you, and not just wine, any kind of alcohol. And I know like people say, oh, like a drunk tongue tells a sober truth, which be that as it may, sometimes when you drink and you do things and you wake up the next morning, hello pain cream, you realize this is not what I wanted. This is not for me, and I wish I wouldn't have did it. So just please be careful. Please be careful. Please don't feel like laying with somebody or giving yourself to somebody in that way guarantees like their love for you, because if they love you, they'll get to know you first, and not just what you can offer, and not just what you can make them feel on that level. You know, I truly believe in marriage. I believe in like, you know, doing all that jazz once you're married. Like, once you're married, it's a free for all in my mind. Like, go crazy, because that's what I'm telling myself. As much as I have been a studious good girl, like, it's gonna be my time to thrive and survive. But even then, until then, you know, the more I've sat with the Lord, the more like I don't even mind waiting on all the other stuff like a relationship and stuff, because I'm with the Lord, you know. Like, I truly feel like a lot of emptiness in my heart has been filled by him. And even on like this past Sunday, I was dealing with some insecurities, and the Lord just kept reminding me, like, you are mine. You're mine. Like, you're mine. You're my girl, you know? And he's saying that to you too. You're my girl. I love you. I got you. Like, I'm your man. Like, come to me. And, you know, like I said, the Lord is a jealous God, and he wants all of you. And I was listening to that today on a devotional, and she was just saying how the Lord doesn't want pieces of your heart. He wants your whole heart. And I really feel like too, that is one thing I have had to work on before I got into a serious relationship, is putting the Lord first and giving him all of my heart, and then letting him direct my steps in anything that I go through or do. And so back to the song, I did almost forget, but I did not. This song is called I Remembered You. And so this song, I wrote this back in June. Yes, I wrote this song this year in June because it was a year of me walking away from a girl that I shouldn't have been with. Now, for clarification, we were like in this virtual dating world, and she used the guy avatar, and for whatever reason I was so enthralled by this avatar and wanting to be loved and wanting to feel like it was real that I got suckered into it. Because for me it was real, like emotions were involved. I was giving this girl my time of day, you know, my time of night, quite frankly. I let her swindle me, and even me, I decided because I can't blame all her, but I decided to give her my time and to, like, you know, not even be with my family half the time, because I'm sitting here trying to appease her and really watch her and make sure she not out here thriving and surviving, because she was doing a lot of that. But anyways, this was a story, or I guess this is a song about it, because it walked me through, or it was my way to put down on a paper what I had went through for a year, you know, like getting back to God, and even then just finding him and finding our love, and really letting him search and touch my heart. So here it goes. The battle was hard again. Up to three, down. I wrote this song, Lord. The battle was hard again. Up to three, down by six, start again. What am I missing? Another year faced again with all new challenges. Do I hold my breath, let it go, salvage it? I feel so broken. Life was beating me up in my mind. It was so rough, but then I remembered you. Now my days, they seem so bright, and my heart, it feels so light, all the wrongs made right. When Jesus, I remembered you. Another day to fight again, and I'm convinced I will win. My warrior is my friend. I'll take a breath, I'll catch back up. Victory's not just given by luck or coincidence. Jesus, you're my champion. You've blessed me now. So, despite me not being able to find the beat again in the first verse, this song really means a lot to me, because, you know, I say the battle was hard again. Up to three, down by six, start again. Because sometimes it feels like that. Like, you feel like you're doing so good, and then you get set back, you know? And then it feels like year after year you're getting faced with all new challenges, because we are alive. We're out here kicking and breathing, so there's always going to be challenges, right? And so I don't know, like I said, who needed to hear this. I felt like it was for, I always feel like it was somebody, it is for somebody. But just please be careful and know that, like, you are not struggling alone. You know, like, people are facing the same thing as you. And it, as daunting as it is for me to get up here and be like, oh, I had this addiction, or oh, I used to do that. You know, I don't want to be condemned by that, because it was my past, and we also struggle with something and go through something. And more than anything, it should make you realize, like, if somebody like her can be saved with all her heathen ways, then surely the Lord got room for me too, okay? Because let me tell you, I've been out here like thriving and surviving in the wrong of ways. But like I say, and on the flip side, I feel like the Lord has rewarded me, because I've been a good daughter, because I've abstained, you know, because I chose to put him first, because I chose to trust him and to really let all of that stuff go, and to let him clean me up of my infirmaries. And yes, yes. Four helpful scriptures that I got for you. The first one is gonna be in First John 4 and 19. Okay, First John 4 and 19. We love him because he first loved us. The second one is Deuteronomy 6, chapter 6, verses 5. Come back here. I see you. 6 and 5. So lay it down by 6. Sorry. And so chapter 6, verses 5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. Now we're going to go to Joshua 22 and 5. But take diligent heed to do the commandment and the law which Moses, the servant of the Lord, charged you, to love the Lord your God and to walk in all his ways and to keep his commandments and to cleave unto him and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Okay, then we're going to go to Psalms 116 and 1. And I honestly, y'all, Psalms has some beautiful, and I mean beautiful passages, okay? I love the Lord because he hath heard my voice and my supplications. Because he hath inclined his ear unto me, therefore will I call upon him as long as I live. And the last one is Hebrews 6 and 10. For God is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have shewed towards his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints, and do minister. As I am coming to a close, I have 4 bullet points for you. One is to let God love you. Okay, let him love you. Let him show you the true meaning of love, so that way you know what to look for in people. And I've said this on here before too, but if you cannot imagine yourself loving God or being in love with God, how will you know what to look for in a husband or in a wife? How will you know what love looks like if you don't let the Lord reveal his love for you? How are you going to know when it's okay? Because the Lord uses people to love you too. So if he loves you through another person, but you don't have that connection with him and that bond with him, how are you going to know if it's genuine or not? Number 2, give all your heart to him. Not just pieces, all of it. Number 3, be careful of who you entertain. Now, going back to the story with the sisters, like I said, the reason why that passage of scripture I feel like also hit me hard too, because it talks about like how she turned her eyes, both sisters turned their eyes to these people that they wanted because they looked fine. Long story short, they looked fine to them, like fine wine. All right, they had all these horses, you know, and like they were beautiful. It says that they were very beautiful, but they had the most beautiful man over them. But you know, that just goes to show. And I feel like even in relationships, to me, that mirrors a relationship. You know, when you're in a relationship with somebody and their eyes start to wander, or maybe your eyes wandered. Hopefully not. We're not gonna blame you. But you know, you see somebody and you're like, dang, they even more beautiful, you know, or if they see some, well, I'm saying they, because it's happened to me, but you know, you're interested in somebody or you're with somebody and they see somebody else more beautiful and they think like, I want a piece of that action, you know, so they step out and they go get a piece of that action and then try to come back when the action wasn't really action. It was more like a lukewarm comedy. The point is, you know, with the story of the 2 harlot sisters, they were abused. Like, they took everything from them. First, it started out as pleasure, mindless fun, you know, everybody just getting their rocks off. But when they had perverted them and twisted them to what they wanted, they slew their daughters, their sons, and them. They made a mockery out of them, you know. And to me, that's so sad, because I can see how that all too often happens in like today's world and society. You know, I see a lot of people get with people all the time, and it's like in a few months they're not even together anymore. You know, I've heard stories of things that's happened to people, and it's just sad. And like I say, even with my run-in with the ex, safe to say, the situation I went through, how many times did they see somebody else that they felt like were more beautiful, you know? And cheating is never okay, because I feel like if you're gonna cheat, then you shouldn't be with the person in the first place. Leave if you're not happy. Just go on about your business. We could be great in two opposite corners without each other, you know? And like I said, I just feel bad because not only did they get abused, but then, you know, the Lord was like, I'm done with you because you didn't want me, so I don't want you. And like, now because you wanted these people, they're about to hurt you in more than one ways. And when you make your bed up, you just need to be prepared to lay in it, okay? And like I say, I don't want to scare anybody, but you just really need to be careful with people. Be careful who you let talk in your ear and convince you. And I always try to tell myself, okay, say you think about this, you know, say you really think about it and you're like, I think I'm ready. Think about the after effects. Don't just think about that moment. How is this gonna hurt me or benefit me in 10 years? You know, for anything that you do, like what is gonna be my gain? And not even in 10 years, what is gonna be my gain next week? How am I gonna feel about the situation at the end of the night? Tomorrow morning when I wake up, is this still gonna be something I'm here for? And it's so funny because I change moods like it's wildfire, you know? Like I'll see somebody be like, dang man, that's bae. Then a week later, I'm like, okay, get out my face. I'm tired of looking at you. Then I'm like, oh, it's another bae. See what I'm saying? Your emotions change. So until the Lord, actually sends me somebody that is for me, I'ma just rest in him. I'ma just love on him and I'ma just be with him. Last bullet point. Make sure to love yourself. I feel like one of the biggest things I have had to learn to deal with is loving myself and what love looks like for me. Because if you don't pervert yourself and if you don't have these twisted ways of thinking about yourself, nobody else should have those ways either. You know, you really need to be able to look in the mirror and see everything that you are, to see how beautiful you are, and to realize you are loved and you are loved. And genuine, true, authentic love, it feels good to the soul. It feels so nice to be able to look in the mirror and accept myself because I'm me. And I think that that's why I can get up here and say these things to you, because I know me and I love me enough to know that, you know, I am doing well. And I just believe that like the Father called me to do this, you know, and I love what I see. I love what my life is shaping up to be. I love what my life is turning into. And it's so funny because before this, when I was dealing with my addiction and like trying to get my life together, it felt like every day was a struggle. Sad. I felt, you know, discouraged. I felt torn down. Like I said, I was so hard on myself. Like, you did that again last night, or you did that thought. And, you know, even when I tried to justify it and make it okay, it was never okay. But even through all of that, the Lord kept me. He held me. He loved on me. He held my hand and he didn't let me go. And so I know he's not going to let you go either. But before you even try to focus on love and loving somebody else, you really need to love yourself first, baby girl, because that self-love, that's what's going to keep you. And when you love yourself and when you see the beauty in yourself, then that's when you can really believe the Lord when he says, you are mine, because you are called and you are chosen and you are marked by him, and he's not going to let you go. And so if you're watching this, it's for a reason. And despite me feeling, because I've rambled my way through a lot of this, I truly feel like it was to help somebody. So I really hope that this could, just like I say, be an eye-opener or a cautionary tale. I never want to esteem myself to be better than anybody else. But yeah, I dealt with it. I was addicted to porn. Like, I think the more I say it, the less shameful I feel about it, because it's like, it happened. It's not who I am now. And it definitely don't describe me now. And should I have a thought that's in left field or not, I know that the Lord is not going to hold that against me, and you just change your thinking. Change your thinking. Be like, Lord, I'm sorry we went down that rabbit hole, and go on by your day. But don't be so condemned about your past sins. Don't let that stuff eat you up, because you are not the same person, baby. And you can break away from anything you want to do. Anything you want to do, you can break away from it. I dealt with this addiction for like 13 years. And now look at me. Quit cold turkey just like that, because the Lord held my hand. And I always told myself, like, one day I'm gonna be over this. And sure enough, that day has happened. So please kiss me with the like button. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment below. Maybe you don't want to tell me any addictions that you dealt with, but I guess the question for this week can be, where can you see the walls with you and Jesus' relationship? Because like I say, that addiction showed me all the areas of the walls that I was holding up against that man. And even now with him helping me deal with the affairs of my heart, there are some things I have to go back to the drawing board about. But know that if he has started a thought in you, he is going to answer that question or reveal the answer to you. He's not going to leave you there. He's going to hold your hand through the end, and he's going to be ever so gentle and patient with you. So please come and talk to me. I will talk back. I love you guys, and thank you so much for even, just listening to me ramble and letting me share my story with you. A Pox perspective is honestly a goofier version of this, because I really want to talk to people who are hurting and, just remind you that you are loved, and you're talking to a girl who's overcame addiction, a girl who's overcame suicide, a girl who quite literally felt like she should have been taken out a couple of months ago, for just being careless, or what she thought was careless, and the Lord kept me, and he saw me to be alive for a purpose. And so if my life can be a testimony, and if I can help you in any kind of way, even with my rambles and thoughts scattered all over the place, it is well. And so I hope you guys have an incredible rest of your week, even into the weekend. Please rest and don't be stressed, okay? You can check out, I do Wednesday Wellness on my TikTok, just shorter little condensed videos about motivation and about God's love and grace and, things like that. So if you would like to check those out, you can find it on my TikTok at DohiSama. But until next week, guys, please always remember that the Lord does love and bless you. May he keep you. I love you, and I hope wherever you are, you're having an incredible day or an amazing night. Thank you for listening again on the podcast. You can find my video on YouTube at DohiSama. Good night, guys.